Hello there everyone. I'm going to rattle off a quick video review of this, the Prime 1 Sauron, quarter scale Sauron. And let me just start by saying, if you're buying this because you think it's quarter scale, trust me, the comments I read about people with the art cover Predator piece being third scale, not quarter scale, let me just say, because I have that piece myself, this dwarfs even that. I can give you some rough statistics now. This piece stands as high on his base, exactly as high as the T800 half scale. And I've actually this morning measured them, and I've got the measurements here for you to give you some stats. Now, Sauron himself, so that's measuring from the bottom of his right leg to the top of his crown, he stands 36 inches tall, guys. The T800 is 39 inches tall, so that's not including the bases on either. So he's literally 3 inches shorter than the T800 half scale. He is enormous. I mean, in the film and I believe in the book as well, I did watch a couple of YouTube videos where they were talking about the writings of Tolkien, and I concentrated mainly on Sauron and Mehron before. Some of it's relevant to stuff I'm going to get in a bit, but I wanted to just get a bit of history on the character and everything else. And apparently in the film he was portrayed as being about 9 feet tall, so they've pretty much stuck to that, and it's pretty accurate. So he was immensely tall. Also, bearing in mind that for those that don't know, Sauron, when he was Mehron, he was like this elf type creature. They were like elves, but they were a higher race than those, but they were tall, thin beings, which is quite irrelevant, something I'm going to talk over briefly in a bit. But let's just get down to this. So I'll give you some stats. Now, I can remember a lot of people were slightly concerned about the base, because they said, and I must admit on the photographs, the base does look very tall. It isn't. It isn't at all. It is very, very misleading on some of the early photographs of this piece. The base is actually, I measured it this morning, at the highest point, the base, which is, and that's the point where he's got his right foot. That is 11 inches to that point, but that is quite a bit higher than the rest of the base. So the base is quite short. I'll actually put my hand there so you can see. It's not that tall at all. And because it all overhangs, and as you'll know, you can see, I've actually got him on the floor. I did actually have him on a small raised shelf, but his head was above the top shelf and completely blocking the middle shelf area. So I've actually now put him on the carpet, and because he is the same height as the T800 Predator, it looks quite good. It looks quite balanced because I've got them set up either side of my fireplace. Obviously, he hasn't got the mass and the build of the T800, because the T800 is a half scale piece and this guy is quarter scale. But he's huge, guys, honestly. And that base, I can tell you now that base weighs in at 28 kilos. So it's heavy. And at the widest point, that base is 22 inches. So yeah, I've had to sort of reshape my room a little bit in order to get him in. And I've now got a little bit of an issue where other pieces are going to go, because he's kind of now encroaching into where I was going to put the third scale Predator. So I've now got to rethink all that. Anyway, plenty of time. And I don't want to detract from this. So yeah, so basically, Sauron himself weighs in at approximately 16 kilos, and the total height with him on his base is roughly 45 inches. That's the total height. So he's big, and it's a big piece. You need a lot of room, and if you're going to put it on a shelf, you need some very wide shelves and able to support some serious weight. But okay, let's get on with chatting about the piece in general. I'm going to try and be as neutral when I do this, because I got to tell you all now, I'm not going to get into this whole debate about the sideshow original Weta 1 in this piece. To me, when I saw the images of the two, because that's all I had to go on, were the images of the two, and I watched Chris's video when he had his repaint done, nothing in the last, I think it's been 20 months. I pre-ordered this on day one, and it's been about 20 months, so less than 2 years. So I'm quite happy with that. A pre-order, getting a statue within 18 months to 2 years, I'm more than happy with that. But in that time, having read all the negative comments and obviously positive comments, but certain negative comments, which I'll get to in a bit. And also in that time comparing him to other statues that were around, nothing once ever detracted me from wanting this piece and believing that this was certainly the better piece. And now he's here, sat here right in front of me. I know 1000% that is, I made the right choice for me. I made the right choice for me. I won't be looking to have a repaint on him. He looks absolutely perfect. The armour is both dark and light. The work, the sculpt is just, guys, honestly, I can't quite describe how good it is. It is beyond anything I have ever owned or seen. The intricacy, the accuracy is extraordinary. The chainmail at the front, guys, is real. There's also some at the back. It's very heavy and it's done exceptionally, which brings me to the only flaw on this statue. And I think looking at images of what somebody else has, they don't actually have that front piece in, which is the only flaw I would say this statue has got, is that chainmail. You have to hook it onto this piece here. It hooks onto the back. There's 3 hooks on the back of that. That then slots up inside that armour piece. Now, that little crotch piece at the front is actually made of plastic, and then metal hooks are tiny, and you are hooking that very heavy chainmail. That chainmail at the front, by the way, is double-breasted, as it is actually in the film. Again, they didn't miss anything. It is accurate to as it is in the film. You've got to look carefully, but it's there. Now you have to shove that up inside that armour. Now there's a thin magnet at the top of that, which slots into a magnetic slot. However, that magnet, because that is so thin, that magnet really is being pushed to its limits to cope with the weight of that chainmail. Now for me, both the front and back pieces were very awkward to get into place, and both have fallen out. Luckily they've not damaged anything beneath them or the actual pieces themselves, but I can see that would be potentially an issue with some. Now I've managed to, it's a case of pushing them and getting them in place, which isn't easy, because that chainmail, it really does get in the way a little bit, and you've got to be very, very careful how you do it. Very easy to break the chainmail or damage stuff around. Bearing in mind them hooks on the back are very, very small and going to be very easy to snap off. But I've managed to get mine wedged in, and they're wedged in pretty good now. But that is the only flaw with this piece, and that's something, if you do get this or you've got this coming, be very careful when you're doing that. Be very wary, and once you get it in, just try and get a little bit more movement in it. Try and get it pushed up in there a bit more, because, or be careful when you're taking your hand away. Just see if there's any weight on your hand as you take it away, that it feels like it's going to fall out. And the other bit of advice is, put it where you're going to leave it. Don't be wanting to move this around, because too much vibration, those pieces are going to fall out. So that's the only flaw I can pick with this piece for me personally. Right, let's start at the base then. Now I've covered the height. There is no issue with the height of it. Honestly, once it's there and you're looking at it, the base doesn't even look that big, even though it is huge and very heavy. With him on it, it looks right. To me, it looks bang on. There's been some discussion, but I'm not going to dwell too much on some of the negative comments I've read over the time, because sometimes I do think people in the statue community do talk out their fucking arse, to be honest with you. And for me, this is sat here in front of me, guys, and I'm giving you an honest opinion. To me, the lava looks fine. It looks pretty bloody spot on. You can tell what it is. And the light effect on the underside of the rocks, when you're stood, if you're looking from underneath up, I wouldn't have this high up, so he certainly is better if you're level height, or even looking slightly down on him. It looks much better. As I've got it now and I've got the camera set on it, that you can probably make out the light effect on the rocks here, across here, and especially over here in places like, it looks fantastic. It really does look good. That is not light reflecting on those. That's painted on, guys. It looks superb. The detail on the top of the base, okay, the actual rock itself, pretty basic. They do seem to have basically just mostly painted that. You know, they could have done some shading effects here and across here, and the same where his foot is, but they haven't done, which surprises me really. They could have made a bit more effort there, because they've gone to so much more effort in the rest of the base. I'm surprised that they've missed that. So that again is probably my only negative comments in regards to the base, is the actual rock surface could have done with a bit more attention to it. Well, again, which really surprises me with Prime 1, because the rest of it, I mean, the skulls are incredible. They're done absolutely brilliant. And the one skull, you can actually see they've even painted the light effect from the flame coming up from of the lava, which is a brilliant attention to detail. And the broken bones and everything are the same. But it's not just that, guys. The armour, I mean, the swords. There's one sword at the back, which you might just be able to make out is sort of between his legs, sort of by his left leg there. And then another one here at the front, which is actually snapped. These elven swords. I mean, they're made of metal. They're metal. And they've got the design on the handles is accurate. If you look at the United Cutlery stuff and look at these, I did put some pictures on my original post on the group, and even the pommel, the detail on the pommels is there, and they've rusted the blades up. It's superb. And it's the same with the chest armor, the Gondorian chest armor with the tree on it, and they've put dents in it and slash marks, and the elven helmet. I mean, it's incredible detail. I mean, you can barely see the elven helmet, which is actually at the back here, just here. There's the other sword there, and the shield buried in the rock there. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. I couldn't believe as I was taking these pieces out of the box. Normally I slap a statue together as quick as I can get it done. I'm so impatient. But with these, I just sat with them on the coffee table, admiring them. Just incredible. So that is superb. But I must admit, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't take a bit more time to have painted the rock surface. It wouldn't have taken much. A bit of a dry brush would have made that look perfect. That is something I may look at getting done in the future. I don't know. I'll see. Okay, moving on to Sauron himself. I've covered the chainmail part. Again, fantastic they've done that in metal. I don't know how they would have got round engineering it better, because a stronger magnet would have meant a thicker magnet, so it wouldn't have actually slotted in place. But we could argue that all day, guys. I'm not going to. I love the fact that they've used real metal chainmail. And this brings me to one of the comments I alluded to before in regards to accuracy to the film, which was one of the comments I'd read over the years. The stupidest comment I've ever read over the last 18 months or whatever it was somebody said, "This does not look like Sauron." I'd love that guy to message me and tell me who the fuck he thinks it looks like. Now, in the film, the one scene I think people concentrate on is the fact in the one scene when he's in Mount Doom and he's sort of doing this pose, he looks quite broad. Now, first of all, if you read the literature, guys, Sauron wasn't broad at all. He was, like I said, he was an elf. He was slim. Stands to reason his armor was slim. He was tall and slim. So this look is right. But in that one scene, I must admit, he does look very broad, and I noticed that myself, because as I got him together and got in there, I was actually playing it on the TV and looking and comparing the two and seeing how accurate he was. But if you just watch then a couple of minutes later when he steps out onto the battlefield, and the battlefield scene and the bit where he's leaning over his shield, you'll see that he is actually slim, and in the film he is slim. I think it's just that one scene he comes across as being very, very broad. And I know somebody comment on about the chainmail at the front. Well, if you look at that scene in Mount Doom, his chainmail is like that at the front. It's huge, and it's even double-breasted. They've even picked up on it's double-breasted. So, fair play Prime 1, the chainmail is right. I find that without his, I'll be honest with you guys, without the cloak on, he does look thin. He does look thin, and with that huge, tall head he's got, he does look slightly out of proportion, so he looks much, much better with the cape on. My opinion, having watched the first few minutes of Fellowship of the Ring literally about 20 times in the last 3 days, and comparing it to him, Prime 1 are, I would say, in all honesty, 90 to 95% there with the accuracy to the film. Please, anyone who disagrees, message me and point out where I'm wrong, because I've got this piece sat here in front of me and I'm damn sure I'm not wrong on that. They've done a brilliant job. They've done at least as good of a job as anyone has done prior. And yeah, so I have no issue with that. The cloak, guys, is enormous. It's absolutely huge, and it's full of posable wire. And I can't begin to tell you how long I have spent sat with my legs crossed on this floor, posing that bloody cape. And I've gone now for the simplistic effect of it would just hang off him. I've turned a couple of the corners up to show that it's multi-layered. I think there's about 4 layers. There's certainly 3 layers of cloak there, maybe 4. And yeah, I've just got it so it's tattered and ragged, and it's just hanging off him. And that's the pose I've gone for, because I've tried multiple other ones, and yeah, I was getting frustrated with it, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to come to, sorry, my daughter's just texted me. I just lost my train of thought there for a second. Let me get back on track. So the cloak, the rest of the armament, for me, like I said, I've looked at the film. It looks pretty spot on. The detail is superb. The detail on it is just fantastic. Easy to put together as well, guys. I say, apart from those 2 bits I spoke about before, the front and rear chainmail, which is fiddly and awkward, and I'll be honest with you, it may well cause some people issues. There might be ones where you're going to get ones where it snaps in perfectly and no issue at all. You're going to get other ones where I can see where it just will not stay in at all. It just constantly falls out. But as yet, I've not read anything about that, but not many people have got this piece yet, so that's one just to look out for. Otherwise, it all goes together very easy, very comfortably. And yeah, the sculpt, the paint job, everything, guys. I didn't want to sit here for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, blowing smoke up the arse of this statue, but I've been as brutally honest as I can, and for me, it is damn near flawless. For commanding presence, I seriously don't know what's going to come that's going to beat this. I literally can't stop looking at it. I can't. I've had the telly on. I've even been playing online and got my arse kicked because I'm constantly looking to my right to look at this. Yeah. Oh, that brings me to one last thing before I go. The added extra, which comes in the shape and form of a 1-to-1 scale. Sauron's finger with a ring. That ring comes off. That ring is metal, so you can just display the ring if you want. I think you can sort of see with the size of my hand how big that is. It's really heavy as well. There's a load of weight in that. So the ring's metal. It's a nice little display piece, you know, for a bit of an edit. So I recommend, if you're going for it, get the X, get this, because this is so easy to display anyway. I've got it on my little coffee table. Yeah, so that's fantastic. Fantastic little extra off Prime 1 there. Really like that. Really pleased with that. And there it is, guys. I'm not going to waffle on much more. If any of you've got any questions, just message me or whatever, or you can ring me. If you want me to sort of take the camera around it and show you a bit closer, I didn't want to do that because it gets very dark once you get into it. You really need to have the light on, and I've got him tucked away in a corner where the light can't get at it. But for me, if you're thinking about this, buy it. You will never regret it. It is the most incredible statue I've ever owned or seen, and I can't wait to get some more of the Lord of the Rings range that are coming out. For me personally, if somebody was to ask me what is the most anticipated piece I'm going to get coming, because I've got literally everything on order, although I am going to be cancelling the Nazgul because I wasn't sure about that piece when I saw it, and now I've got the Weta one, the Escape from the Road diorama coming. That one's, yeah, I'll be cancelling that. But I'm really looking forward to the Frodo and Gollum one, because I think that piece is exceptional. They've nailed Gollum on that, and I love the fact that they've had the spider web to it and everything. So that one, and for me, to be honest with you guys, it's the Berserker Orc. I think that looks fantastic, and I'm sick to death of people who keep commenting about statues being replicated. Jesus Christ, I mean, come on, Sauron's in that film for, what, a minute? There's only so many bloody poses he pulls, and it's the same with the Berserker Orcs, really. You know, I know you see this with multiple statues. People go on about, oh, they've replicated the pose. I don't have an issue with that. I wasn't collecting statues when all the original Weta Sideshow ones came out, and I'm not paying those fucking stupid prices for second-hand statues. So for me, I'm glad that they're sort of, if it works, by all means replicate it. And if they, in the few other 10 years' time, some other company replicates what Prime One's done, I won't have an issue with it. I don't care. Fair play to the people buying them. So yeah, so I'm not going to get myself all wound up because I'm reading comments, because sometimes it does annoy me. I try and keep myself as level-headed as I can. But I hope you've liked this review anyway, guys. I hope I've not waffled on too long. Like I say, I wish I could have gone around the statue and shown you more, but I didn't want to do that because I say once I get in that alcove, there is that, you can't tell me that's actually a little alcove at the side of my fireplace. By all means, if you want any questions or you want me to take any close-up images of anything or any advice, please just message me and I'll get straight back to you. And I hope you're all well and keeping safe. And yeah, I'll happy collecting to all of you out there, and I'll see you the next time I've got a new review. Take care, guys.